Board, board game. I'll give a first impression of a board game that is called Ovation. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. And I'm going to do a quick first impression of Ovation. And I'm going to quickly look, let me get this out of the way. I really like this game. And also, I am massively biased, so I'm in a difficult position. I'd like to talk about bias, and then I'd like to talk about engine building, and I'd like to talk about why my first impression, again, I've only played this the once so far, but it seems brilliant, genuinely. Okay, so let's talk about bias and what the heck is going on. Um, so, Kirsten Lunde is a game designer from New Zealand, and Kirsten Lunde has launched a Kickstarter a bunch of days ago. At the time of writing, we're talking about 15 days left, I believe, and it's doing well. Kirsten funded and justifiably so. So I got sent this game because I'm friends with Kirsten. And Kirsten was like, hey, here's a copy of the game. You can play it, and I'd love to hear what you think. And Kirsten, I'm telling you, and I'm telling everyone else in the world, I really enjoyed it. Look, I played this. With a bunch of people on the couple of days ago, and it's got the feeling of engine building. It's got the satisfaction of working out what you're going to be doing. It's got the satisfaction of pondering. It's got some nicely balanced cards. Some are better for the early game, some are better for the later game. The points and costs, and it's not like the points and the costs are lined up on a one-to-one basis. No, you've got expensive things with better effects and fewer points, but then that means that if you grab them later on in the game, then that's not so good. But also, not only do you have to wonder about all of that, but you have to worry about your tunes. It's all about the music. It's all about the music. And so it's a case of thinking, am I going to perform this tune? Like, typically, the big pieces are worth 1 point extra than the resources. So, like, the woodwind quartet there will take you 5 resources and give you 5 points. The opera and the symphony will take 6 resources and give you 6 points. Boom. And this is what you end up with at the end of the game. Pieces under your little player boards. Where's the player boards gone? And then you're putting them together, and then each time you get a little song done, then you get these amazing, pretty little like notes. Check them out. And it's the balancing between getting more cards, which are the things that which gives you affordances, which gives you the things to do, with balancing those notes. That makes for a really interesting decision space. And at the end, you feel satisfied and you think, yeah, I've done something, I've achieved something. Your turns, like all the good engine building games, they continue to grow. And it was just a lovely time with my friends. Now, yes, as I said, I am biased. So, yeah, should you trust me? Let's get back to that. So, Kirsten Lunde entered the LDEC design contest with 2 games. One of them, I said, oh, this isn't quite right for the LDEC, but I really love it. Would you be willing to work on it together? The second game, it was a bit ambitious. It was a bit unfinished. I asked Kirsten to work on it a bit more. She came back and it was boom. It was brilliant. It was the most ambitious game for the LDEC, which is a game system that I've got. And so we've been working on that for the better part of a year. So at this point, we've been working together. So of course I'm biased. I feel like we're on friendly terms. So it's really difficult for me to say, yeah, to remove that aspect. But despite that, let me try and get this down. So how it felt to play, it was like moving things together, it was engine building, it was building up something. It vaguely reminded me of Gizmos, if you've played that. But unlike Gizmos, you've then got to have, firstly, you're limited by the number of music notes that you've got, so your music notes go on. And the second thing that you've got is yeah, it's like balancing how many music things you've got. It felt satisfying. And is it done already? This is, as I said, 15 days left on Kickstarter. And hello. What I loved the engine building. It went up to these explosive turns where you've got your patrons, and these patrons allow you to do stuff when you take the financier actions. And then, for example, here, Lady Antoinette, whenever you run a financier action, is going to allow you to also do, there we go, the inspiration action. But then if you've got the right things, then as whenever you do the inspiration action, you might be able to jump back and do the financier action again. Now, you won't be able to jump back and forth because each card can only be done once, which you'll track using these little notes. But then you might also say, okay, at this point, whenever you've done, if you go up with your joy, because there's three little things, there's the fire of, whoops, there's the tear of sorrow, there's the flower of joy, and there's the fire of passion. And you could say, okay, if I get the flower of joy, then I also get to the patronage action. And you've got to have the resources to do this, but you've built up to these big explosive turns over the course of the game. And that's really nice. You know, it's the satisfaction of engine building. The other thing that I really loved was the fact that these give the game a little bit of asymmetry. So each time you've got different objectives. You might have to do lots of notes, or you might have to get lots of Patreon cards until the time roller. And says, yeah, I like that one like 2 or 3 years ago when I tried it. And this has been working. Kirsten Lunde has been working on this for a long time, and you can totally tell because these cards are really nicely honed. And I mean, just before this review, you know me, I'm going to organize all these cards and look through them, and it's balanced, but there's a little bit of, how can I put this, teeny bits of asymmetry just to make a little bit of a wrinkle. And so yes, in these sections you've got the basic pieces of music, which are all about an instrument and an emotion over here. And then you've got the more advanced pieces of music, which are maybe an opera or a mass or a symphony. And then there are about 2 different emotions. But if then you want to go back to having just something based on the flute or piano or violin, like those are the 3 main instruments in this game: the strings, the piano, and the winds. I mean, sorry, drummers, you're not included. Like, it makes sense. And it's obviously, with any game, you've got to have some, like, not everything can be included, but then you get the satisfaction. And the other thing I loved was whenever someone does a concert, you get some positive interaction. So everyone else can give them a ticket. You don't need to pay them a ticket. You just take a ticket from the deck and boom, here you go. These are basically worth half an inspiration. But then going to someone's concert, you get a full inspiration. And so it's typically worth doing because you give them less than you get for yourself. And it almost feels like a catch-up mechanism, because normally in these kinds of games, when you've got an engine building aspect and people are running away from it, you can feel like, oh no, there's no way for me to catch up. So that can be a bit sad, but not in this game. I mean, obviously anything can happen. But in this game, you also get the opportunity to be like, hey, I'm going to get some inspiration, because every time they put on their concerts, you get to say, hey, I'm going to get some joy by coming to your concerts. And to Low Flow, it is lovely to see you. Lots of love. So you might be like, hey, I'm going to come to your violin and viola duo, and it's such a joyful piece because you've paid like all, free joy and two passion, and so it's going to fill me with inspiration. And this is a really interesting thing, and it reminds you of the connection of everyone. Like when you look at the little player boards, can I just talk about this for a moment? So on the back of this, so this is Beethoven, and like here you've got like a bit of information about them, and then Mozart, like again a good bit of information, Schubert, Mariam Martinez, Joseph Boulogne, and Haydn, and all of these characters also have little teeny bits of asymmetry. So Haydn, like you need to, what am I talking? Ignore the fact I said Haydn. So Beethoven is really passionate and needs to spend less passion. Schubert is already sad, I guess, and needs to spend less sadness. And Mozart is joyful for some reason. But like on the back, it tells you about like how Martinez was learning from Haydn, and that's really cool. And Martinez is all about the piano, so does piano stuff more easily. Joseph Boulogne, Chevalier de Saint George, is all about the strings and does that better. And then Haydn is able to do the big pieces like the operas and the symphonies, and that gives you a little bit of direction. Now, in truth, I think that there's enough luck that you could theoretically feel I'm a little hard on, but like I think that yeah, Mozart is joyful for some reason, yes. And yes, Kirsten Lunde is a lovely person, and that gets back to my fact that I'm totally biased. Oh, we didn't play with these magnum opuses, but the way that the magnum opuses work is that you've got three, and then you pick one, and then that gives you another. Boom, I'm going to do that. And all of the characters, it's not just about having that asymmetry, but about giving you a little bit of direction. Do I know Ode to Joy? Stuff I didn't like. I lost the game. Look, yeah, when we were playing, Layla ran away with it with many more points than me. But in all seriousness, it was a fantastic game. And yeah, I felt I if you don't if there's always the possibility with games like this to sometimes feel like, oh, that other person's running away with it. And I think that's the constant problem with engine building. Look, life, money, that's all about engine building. I'm not a fan of it. It's like the more money you have, the more money you accrue. I mean, like, rich people, it's not just because they're doing better, it's because they started with more. It's about the privilege, and it keeps accruing more and more wealth. It's a positive feedback loop, and that's not great. And but yeah, engine building has a bit of that satisfaction. Like for all the vitriol against Monopoly, the one of the nice things about it is the escalation of numbers. It's satisfying. It taps into our animalistic brain. It fills us with glee to say, "Oh, I used to get just one action, and now I get four." I mean, it is fun. It is viscerally enjoyable, but at the same time, it does mean that if you're not doing as well as someone else, you now I will say again, obviously the game does counteract that with the positive feedback. That's very nice. The one other than that, like again, this is a This is a prototype. It's a very nice prototype. I mean, this rulebook is really nicely laid out. I gave some private feedback to Kirsten Lunde, and I've got some problems with how the solo player mode is laid out. I think it needs a couple of pages, but Kirsten has told me that there will be 4 pages added to have a little bit more information, and it will be a little bit nicer laid out. Honestly, there's a lot of repeated images. Again, that's because this is a Kickstarter prototype, and yeah, I really struggled to find something that if I was being, the worst thing I can say is that for my taste, the solo mode, when I read through it, it felt marginally more complex than I would want for a solo mode. For a solo mode, I prefer something where I'm not even bothering with an automata, like something where it takes me just a couple of seconds to sort it out. But I am not a solo player, so if you are and you're used to running other things, then maybe this is, for you, and check someone else's review or whatever. Anyway, I just want to, yep, that lovely treble clef, is that not cute? Who it would be good for? I think I have not even talked about the fact that, where have we got? The Prima Donna. Like, every card, even though these are functionally the same card, because sometimes you need to have mechanically the same card in the game, just to increase the chance of, hey, if you increase passion, you get another passion. It's a useful card to have, and it's good for the function of the game to have more chance of it coming out. And then they have different flavor text. Now, I think the flavor text is still, all of this could change, but the fact that every card has its own flavor text, sometimes it's jokes, sometimes it's little snippets of information, and then you've got all this if you like the theme of composers, if you like engine building, I mean, hopefully you already know if this is going to be good for you. As a player, I just felt like the key thing I had to balance, the big mistake I made, the reason that Layla won, okay, is these Patreon cards. So you've got, as well as having the innate points from here, you've also got the points from here, where you've got like 2 points for something and -1 point for something else. So they're always going to generally give you some benefit, and sometimes it'll be about some particular type of music. Sometimes it'll be, hey, we really like this emotion, but we don't like that instrument. Sometimes it'll be, hey, we really like this emotion, but not that one. Or maybe we really like this instrument, but not that one. And obviously, if you've got this is great for Maria Martinez, who plays the piano. Of course, you remember that, Maria Martinez, and so you get into the theme, and then you're thinking, if only I can make these align with these. So the asymmetry grows as the game goes on, but then you've got to adapt and work out what's going on. And it's about balancing. I mean, I feel like I did the best. I did at least joint best at the engine building thing, and it was really, really close. And Aaron in this photo just focused on, just getting stuff, and got some awards for having lots of music. And I needed to it's about every game. So many games. I mean, every game is pushing it a bit much, but you've got Dominion, you've got Gizmos, you've got so many things where you've come to certain points, and then you've got to turn around, and then instead of focusing on building your engine, you've got to now focus on just accruing the points. And it's similar here. I mean, there's no point in getting something like this until the last possible moment. But in this game, you've got to think about that all throughout the game, where, well, if there's something really nice, other people are going to get rid of that and get in your way if you don't watch out. And so you can't just leave it. around. So yeah, that's what I basically learnt as a player. That's my strategy. As a designer, I just think, wow, this is brilliant. And honestly, I love the way that this catch-up mechanism is disguised as a thematic bit of positive interaction. And also, let me just like these keyboards, like I learned also that this is actually really good for vision impaired people. I learned that from Sarah Reed. That's really cool. Anyway, I again, these are all my first impressions, but I think this game is brilliant and check it out. So this has just been a really quick thing. I'm not doing like regular streaming, but I will be doing random um, reviews. So feel free to subscribe or whatever. Lots of love. And if you've got anything else to say, then I'll take any questions now. If you have any questions, then I'll ask questionably quick questions is the next section. It's not interrogation. It's just a questionably quick question section. Questionably quick question. Nice to see you again. I just want to point out, I really like the way that these, yeah, the music notes. Um, as a question, so nice to see you again. Hopefully. Anyway, bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Do do do. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye.